Hi, this is Maura Christian with the Virginia Association of Soil Water Conservation Districts. I am the Assistant Coordinator for the Virginia Conservation Assistance Program, or VCAP as we call it, and I will very briefly take you through what VCAP does and how we work to get BMPs in the ground through local soil water conservation districts. So VCAP is a cost share program that provides financial, technical, and educational assistance to property owners installing eligible stormwater control practices or best management practices. And these practices can be installed in areas of your yard where problems like erosion, poor drainage, or poor vegetation occur. And I'll continue to unpack what that looks like and how we really operate as a program. VCAP is implemented through local and participating soil water conservation districts. Virginia has 47 soil water conservation districts, and there are areas of the state not covered by a soil water conservation district. And because of that, those areas are not eligible for VCAP. VCAP began as a pilot program with only 4 soil water conservation districts back in 2011, and that includes Culpeper, Hanover, Caroline, Piedmont, and Thomas Jefferson Soil Water Conservation District. VCAP really got its legs and really became a formalized program in 2016, and that's when we considered the start of the program really. And since then, VCAP has grown and developed like crazy, and now is available to all 47 soil water conservation districts, and that includes areas outside of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, which we are very proud of. And that became a possibility back in 2019 when we received our first ever state funding that allowed us to fund projects outside the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So fiscal year 2020 was possible. VCAP as a program expanded the reach of what soil water conservation districts really are able to do. Traditionally, soil water districts have worked with agricultural land and more rural landowners. And with VCAP, it has really expanded to a more residential scale suburban homeowner that can participate in districts and take part in what they offer. So VCAP really supplements the existing VACS program or Virginia Agricultural Cost Share Program. Demand for the program has been really high since COVID-19. As you can imagine, people have been spending more time at home and more time to work on projects they've been putting off for a long time. And because of that, we are currently on a funding wait list with more funding on the horizon. So we're still moving forward and growing, but that demand has resulted in a wait list. We have 12 eligible BMPs that we are able to fund through VCAP, the most popular being permeable pavement, rain gardens, and conservation landscaping. But we're also able to cost share and approve projects for impervious surface removal, dry wells, rainwater harvesting, vegetative conveyance systems, constructed wetlands, bioretention, infiltration, green roofs, and living shorelines. And information on all these BMPs can be found on our website, and I'll show you where to find that later today. But in general, I will mention that VCAP was developed to fill in the gaps of the WIP 3 watershed water quality goals. So we are only able to fund practices on developed properties. So that means a piece of construction that a BMP may be installed for must be at least 3 years old. So in that way, we only install retrofits through the VCAP program. Here's a map of where VCAP has installed BMPs across the state. As you can see, the hot spots tend to be the more urbanized areas. This map also shows, the great possibility between those places that we can continue to grow and get more BMPs in the ground. So how can VCAP help? VCAP can help residential or public and private landowners that are eligible to restore problem areas on their properties, treat stormwater runoff, stabilize drainage areas, conserve water within the landscape, control and minimize erosion, promote wildlife habitat, revegetate bare slopes, improve riparian buffer areas, all of which helps Virginia meet its WIP 3 goals. And that's something we're actively working with and motivates us to continue to get BMPs in the ground. And I'd say the overarching theme of what VCAP can do and what we hope to do is to reduce the quantity of stormwater leaving a property and improve the quality. So really looking to reduce nitrogen, phosphorus sediment that enters a watershed and also just decrease the amount that would overwhelm a stream bank or local watershed. So the VCAP process looks like starting with working with your local soil water conservation district, and that looks different in every district. And again, each district chooses to participate or not in the VCAP program and whether to offer that to their community. But you will work with that local district to submit an application. They'll come out to your site with a site visit and give that technical and educational advice that helps decide if BCAP is the right improvement for the property. And all program specifications can be found on the VCAP website, specifically in the VCAP manual, which I again will show you later where to find. And every month, the VCAP steering committee reviews applications that are received, and we look at all of the resource concerns and specifications that we have internally. But most importantly, the ranking score determines a project's eligibility. And because demand has been so high, that ranking score plays a huge role in what projects we are able to fund each month. And that ranking score really takes a look at and puts emphasis on, is the BMP addressing the correct resource concern, its pollutant removal efficiency and cost efficiency. And if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to reach out to me offline, or again, our website has more information on this. But a project, if approved by the steering committee, can then get the green light to go ahead and install. It will be inspected by the district to make sure it is installed correctly. And then at that point, the district can submit a final request for reimbursement. At that point, we can reimburse projects for the cost share that they've been approved for. And in general, projects can be reimbursed to up to 75% of the total cost with set caps for each BMP. And again, that can all be found on our website. And these projects all are required to be maintained for 10 years. And that's pretty common for cost share programs, but I will put it out there that that is a part of the agreement that property owners agree to when they receive cost share for VCAP BMPs. So I've got a couple examples real quick of what BMPs have looked like that VCAP has helped to install. Here's a conservation landscaping that was installed in a backyard in the Thomas Jefferson Soil Water Conservation District. And you can see they've got some pretty bare land in their backyard from an increase in stormwater runoff. So they were able to install a meadow to really stabilize that area and provide huge water quality benefits, but also local pollinator habitats as well, which is wonderful. Here's a more structural BMP. This is a vegetated stormwater conveyance or a dry swale that was installed. Really wonderful water quality benefits as well. The site was receiving a crazy amount of deposition and sediment from upland neighbors, and they were able to slow that runoff and really increase infiltration by installing this dry swale, as well as tie in the downspouts from their roof. So great to see. And the last example I have is a bioretention basin, and this was another place of worship in Henrico County. And it was very recently installed, so it's freshly installed in that bottom right photograph, but it is a thriving BMP, and they were able to tie in most of the roof runoff to treat before it enters a local creek just down the parking lot. So another example of a really great BMP that VCAP has helped. Here's a graph of the number of completed VCAP BMPs alongside the total program funding received by fiscal year. And the projects completed are in green with the program funding received in blue. And that funding amount represents the compiled amounts of operational dollars, cost share, and technical assistance. And so that's all lumped together. But overall, since fiscal year 2016 through fiscal year 2020, a total of $3 million or over $3 million in cost share and $247,000 in technical assistance has been dispersed for those completed projects. In addition to the cost share that homeowners or property owners receive, they will also contribute more than $3 million of their own for these projects. Operational costs are very minimal, so any increased funding allows us to get more cost share out the door and spread our impact across the state. And as you can see, there is a fluctuation in funding received, and that's just a part of the game. But we are actively working to keep growing our funding so we can increase implementation, with the goal always to be reducing the amount of stormwater and improving the quality of stormwater, so Virginia can work its way to those with 3 goals. So finally wrapping it up, looking ahead, VCAP continues to build capacity to implement VCAP, and that really looks like building partnerships and spreading the word about VCAP in local communities. So local districts play a huge role in growing VCAP and helping us leverage new funding. And mentioning funding, that's something that we are always working on, and we hope to continue to keep up with demand and get more and more BMPs installed. And in general, we always want to continue educating the community on the importance of BMPs and continue to grow those partnerships. If you are interested in learning more about the VCAP program, visit us at vaswcd.org/VCAP. You can find on the website photos of each BMP and descriptions of what those entail, guidance documents about implementing VCAP at the district level, our lengthy manual that describes all of our policies and procedures. You can view previous training sessions that are also on our YouTube page, as well as other partners' educational resources are linked on our website as well. Also reach out to me, maura.christian@vaswcd.org. Email is the best way to reach me just with these work from home schedules. And I also encourage you to reach out to your local soil water conservation district, whether that be interest in VCAP or any of the other great programs that local districts implement. So thanks for your time.